And welcome to another episode of All Rell Good on the Cruisers Podcasting Network with my good friend, number 40 out of Riviera Beach, Florida. His name is Richard Rellford, two-time Big Ten champion, biggest smile in the world, most positive person, one of the most positive people I met. Everybody that comes up to me, Rich, and says, "Man, hey, does Rich smile like is he like that like all the time?" And I go, "Yeah, as long as I've known him, he's been that way." So, Rich, welcome to the podcast. And do we have a special guest indeed? He's from my era when I was at school. He's number 32 out of Flint Northern High School, the Vikings, two-time state champion, Rich. Wayman Britt. I don't know if you knew that or not. And actually, his high school coach was your college coach, Bill Freer at Flint.
Wow.
We're going to educate Rich.
Yes, because I didn't know that.
You're going to educate you all the way through this podcast. So you might as well just sit back and learn, okay? As Wayman and I get in. Wayman, welcome to the All Rell Good podcast. So great to have you here, 32.
Yeah, it's good to be on the show with you, Tom. It's good to see you again. Richard, good to see you.
And good to see you too, Wayman.
Yeah.
Okay, we're always talking about the leaping ability of Richard Rellford, and I want to make it clear. As a 6'2" forward, Wayman Britt could jump a little bit, or a lot. I mean, I think a lot. I'm telling you what, Wayman, when I think about you, I think of those matchups with your former Northern teammate, the late Terry Furlow, when he was at Michigan State. Here, your teammate. You win a state championship, and then you're guarding him. And those were like really fierce mano situations, if I recall correctly. Is that the way is that an accurate description, Wayman?
Yeah, it was like Frazier and Ali. I was Ali, he was Frazier. So
okay.
At the end of the day, he was a great shooter, but I understood what Terry's all about. He had good hops too.
Oh yeah.
But it was always a great rivalry with Michigan State. So we came always prepared. Terry Furlow, Adrian Dantley, it doesn't matter who was in front of me. I was always prepared. So yeah.
Well, yeah. I was at the Spectrum in Philadelphia for the Final Four. When you blew out Rutgers, and then in the second half things slipped away against Indiana, but to be a finalist, that was crazy. Now, Rich, you're going to really get it. As even though you were an All-American high school football player, I'm going to throw a little thing that'll blow you away. The guy below you was, a great basketball player at Michigan. He was drafted in the NFL by the Washington Redskins, if I'm not mistaken, by George Allen. Did you know that, Richard Rellford, about Wayman?
No, I did not, and I love to hear that. Please,
okay, tell us, inform us how that came down, Wayman.
Look, Bo Schembechler wanted me out twice, and I turned him down.
Yeah.
Just because I want to protect myself. I never played football like you did, Richard. So it was about speed and agility, quickness, and all that. And he saw that on the court. But anyway, the word got out about me. I was drafted 13th round. Quinn Buckner was drafted, I think, 15th round or something like that. He was also good talent as well. But drafted by them, I was called by Bart Starr from the Green Bay Packers, went to the Lions tryout camp. Dallas Cowboys looked at me too, but I was drafted by the Redskins. Billy Mitchell was the recruiter or the scout, and went down there and was reminded just how quick those receivers were. He wanted me to play. They wanted me to play defensive back, cornerback. Quick story: Gil Chapman played football, halfback, Michigan.
Jersey Jet. Yep.
Oh yeah, and one day they came into Chrysler Arena. And to practice because the weather was bad out in that stadium at the big house, and he challenged me to a sprint. He challenged me and Bill Ayler to a sprint, my roommate, and I dusted him that day.
Wow!
So I wasn't a slow mover.
No.
I was quick, but. All in all, it was basketball, my first love. Playing with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was what I was hoping to do, and Lucius Allen was there. Jerry West was a coach, and so I chose basketball over football.
Well,
Well,
Rich can relate to that because Bo Schembechler heckled, just like he heckled your teammate Steve Brody. He was a great high school football player at Cincinnati Elder High School. But Rich, you were, I mean, Bo was always after you. He was almost like taunting you, like you're not tough enough to come out for
exactly.
football. That was his psychology, but it didn't work
Yes.
with you, did it?
No, it didn't. And you know what? I respect Wayman because Wayman was an athlete. See, this is the difference when I tell you about a basketball player and a basketball player, football player.
Yeah.
And that was Wayman. And so, when you get an athlete, now I know why he jumped so high.
Yeah.
Because you have all those muscles to use. And Tom, you probably don't know, I was drafted by the Cowboys in the 7th round.
Uh-oh, I didn't know
See,
that.
I know. I
I
never
didn't
told
know
you
that. I didn't. I'm sorry. Sorry, my
yeah.
friend. Okay.
But
Stay
like
corrected.
Wayman says, you know what? The love of the game of basketball will outweigh all of those things because that's not what you really wanted to do. And so I always told my friends, if you don't love it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, stay with what you are really passionate about. That's what you do in sports as well as in careers after the fact.
That's
what
right.
you're passionate about, what you're gifted at. Yes.
Well, Richard had his specialty. He's you were a really good offensive player. You're an all-around player. I mean, you could dunk. We've talked. We pretty much documented that. People, whenever I talk to you, they think, "Oh man, that dude could dunk." I'm talking about Richard. But with Wayman, when you were at Flint Northern High School and I saw those 2 state championship games, I mean, you scored points. I mean, you scored and you're playing guard, but then at Michigan. You come on board and all of a sudden, I think your sophomore year, you started from that point forward and maybe even the back end of your freshman year, and you were like the stopper and you were playing forward. It's like, is that something that you that was your personal brand? I'm going to put all my energy into defense, or how do you approach it when you're a quote unquote, a standout in one aspect of the game?
Well, so my job changed when Grody became freshman. I was starting the first year. I was a freshman. I started like halfway through the season, all the games after we played Michigan State. But Orr wanted someone that had, I guess, hops, if you will, or ability to play defense, ability to whatever maneuver. But it wasn't my choice. It was his choice. I mean, if I had my brothers, I'd have played guard all along. But that's just how it worked. It wasn't because I couldn't play guard, because I played guard in high school. Of course, we won 2 back-to-back state championships. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just what he wanted to do with bringing that element into the team, Grody. In fact, I saw him this past summer, and we talked a little about it. He tried to insinuate that he was a better boy, you better shut up. You know what the deal was. They just
Grody was a tough guy, man. I wouldn't mess with Grody, man.
But no, it wasn't. It was something that I guess Orr had done prior years with Richard Carter, who was a forward, 6'3". He wanted to play these smaller guys in that position. For Henry Wilmore, you might remember him. He wanted to play guys at that position. But I look back now and I say, well, if he'd played Alan Hardy or Joel Thompson, perhaps we might have done better against Indiana. Because you look at the team that they had: Buckner, Abernathy, Wilkerson, Scott May.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Kent Benson.
You needed height and brawn at every position. So I look back at that. I thank him for the opportunity. There's an award named after me at Michigan, but end of the day, I wished I'd played guard all my time so that by the time I got drafted, I would have been not having to relearn how to play the point guard position, which is what the Lakers wanted me to play. So anyway.
Right. Well, Rich, when you were on those 2-time Big Ten championship teams, who was your defensive stopper? Who was your Wayman Britt on that team?
Gary Grant.
Oh, Gary Grant in the backcourt. Yeah, he was the guy. He was the guy that was he picked he guarded the better player no matter where position, forward or guard.
Well, usually it was like in Indiana, it was a guard. It was Steve Alford, and State it was Scott Skiles. So it was usually a guard because the guards kind of dictated what everybody else did.
Yeah.
And so Gary was, Gary's pride was defense. He could score, but he loved playing defense.
Did you have? How were you as a defensive player?
I played defense when I had to, man. You know, I like to put the ball in the hole. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh, I was the best defensive player. No, Frida would have told you. I played defense when I had to, and somebody was talking smack to me. Other than that, I'm trying to put you in the hole.
A little bit different philosophy between
Yes.
Richard Rellford and Wayman Britt when it comes to college basketball days at
But I
Michigan.
wanted to say, Wayman, I didn't know was from Flint, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
So Wayman is a Flintstone.
Yeah,
And-
pre the name.
Flintstone. Yeah.
We were the original Flintstones. My
right,
team.
because you guys, man, I know some players that came out of Flint, Michigan that were unreal. Jeff Greer and Eric Turner and these guys
Glenn
from Flint,
Rice. Yep.
Glenn Rice. I was like, whoa, man, Flint is where it's at.
Anthony
So it's pretty
Pendleton.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep, Anthony Pendleton. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Justice Thigpen was a pre-runner, precursor of me. But yeah, Flint has turned out multiple. And even women's basketball. Take a look at the Twins. They came out of Flint too. Pam and Paula McGee.
So yeah, Pam and Paula from there. You're right.
Oh yeah. They were. Hey, so Wayman, when you look what has happened, just so sadly to your hometown, your public school system. Now all those famous high schools are not relevant, are not even existing anymore. I mean, what and you've been involved, if I'm not mistaken, in your job, and have you been involved with city government and civics type stuff in your job?
Yeah, when Flint had the water crisis, we took water down. But sadly to say, as I was involved with county government in Grand Rapids and Kent County, we never really interacted much with Flint. But I wished I had. My first job in county government was in Flint at Genesee County, cleaning the floors of the Genesee County prosecutors and
wow.
That was in high school. Had no idea that it would be the same, career, if you will, in government, but in a different way. I was running the county here in Kent County for the past 4 or 5 years, and then I retired this past July. But yeah, and prior to that, I was assistant county administrator. But yeah, never knew that. And I look at Flint now and how it's just no way like it was back when I was there. I mean, the housing situation is just poorly. The dilapidated communities, it's just not where it was when I was there. Looking back, General Motors and Fisher Body were king, and they still are, but they've lost a lot of people.
The population is really sad. I want to segue to this current Michigan basketball team, and I'm actually going to hit out, and then I'm going to go back a little bit with you, Wayman, with a particular incident that I'm going to reference. So, Rich, let's start with you. You and I, we haven't talked since last week after the Iowa game, so we haven't broken down what happened in Madison during the game or after the game. And I've talked to a lot of former players, via text or a couple of phone conversations. So why don't we get your synopsis of just your reaction and how you think the accountability that was posed on Juwan and the 5-game suspension. Where are you at with all that, and what do you think is going to come out of that in a positive way? Obviously.
Well, my thing was, first of all, Juwan knew after he did it, it was a mistake. He knew. But in defense of Juwan, and you guys will know this, and Wayman for sure, first of all, when we're walking out after we're doing the shake hands thing, if a guy wants to be touched or shaking hands or speak to you. You know this. If they don't, you just keep walking by them. Yeah. And I hate that he stopped Juwan the way he did, because Juwan was unhappy. And as a coach, you did wrong by calling the timeout. So why do you feel like you have to stop him to explain why you did it? We don't care about how you explain and how you did it. We're down 13. There's 4 seconds left. There is no reason to do it. There is no reason to try to explain to me you did it. I understood from the beginning that nobody could see that the assistant coach that he was trying to smush had one of our players by the arm and wouldn't let him go.
Right.
And so Juwan was telling him, let him go. And so my thing is listen, a lot of emotions go on in those situations after you done lost a game that you had a good chance to win. And they came back. We played well. but they won at home, so that's what they're supposed to do. So I don't have a problem with the suspension. I'm really happy that he didn't get fired because it was something that they could fire you for.
Yeah.
But I also said to friends, I was playing when Bobby Knight threw the chair against Purdue. And I played them the next game. We played them the next game. Didn't fire Bobby.
No, I know
you didn't
that.
fire Woody Hayes when he punched the guy in Ohio State. You didn't fire him.
Well, no.
So,
Woody Hayes did get fired.
He did get fired for that.
Yeah, in 79. Yeah, but that was, maybe there was a reason they want to get rid of him anyway. I don't know.
Never know.
But Wayman, I want to segue over to you. I want to get your reaction to that, and then I'm going to ask you a question about your high school days. It kind of ties in. I think you know where I'm going to go with that. So let's go with your reaction and the same question I posed to Rich. I'm going to pose to you.
Yeah, of course, Juwan knew he made a mistake, and like anyone who is in the heat of battle, you're going to have times where your emotions are going to get the best of you. And I've been there. I was teed up against Vegas when we played them out in LA, out in Las Vegas once. First time, I think the only time I was tossed out of the game. It's crazy because they were calling all kinds of crazy stuff. I think they were paid off.
Yeah.
But regardless, and here, let me just say this. As an African American, as a black college coach or a black athlete, the scrutiny that's upon you is different than it is for the others that don't look like you. And I don't know if Juwan understood that element as well, coming out of playing at Michigan at a very high level to becoming a professional athlete, doing well there and as assistant coach for the Heat and so forth. You come in with a lot of swag. You come in with a lot of, I would say, credit. And you're not the average guy. You are above that. Well, when you become a player again or a coach again in that league, our bets are off. You're just one of the guys all over again. You got to prove yourself. And maybe he forgot that. I'm not sure what was happening, but you're no longer a basketball player. Number one, athletes. You can have a trigger and sometimes you might want to go at somebody. I've done that a couple of times, even in practice, but you don't do that as a coach, no matter what, you don't do that, no matter what's happening to you, being said to you. I've had that happen. I've been threatened. I've been racist remarks towards me personally, as an administrator at the county, confrontations, and what I've chosen to do is to live to die another day. Keep my powder dry, so that you are still in the game. He could have been fired. And so it's at the end of the day, I know where he was at, caring about those kids. He's got a son on the team. He's really tied in with those kids. He's protective, which he should be. I was the same way with my team at the county. When people would try to insinuate things and blame my team, I was fired up. But I never crossed the line. I never reached out, hit anyone, or made any libelous statements that I needed to take back. Not just me. Now, how you manage that is the people that you have around you. And the question for me is, Juwan, who are your friends? Who are those that are holding you accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Now look at that and I say, have you joined yourself with men like a Rellford or a Wayman or others that are older, that have gone, that have been there,
right,
and have been beyond there? Are you associating with the people? Are you picking up different cues? And I think that's a travesty right there. No man is an island. And I think that any coach, and that's what Johnny Orr did. He surrounded himself with other professionals at Michigan. And hopefully Juwan is doing that too. Hopefully he's not isolating himself.
No, I think he is. I think he's got great staff.
He does.
He needs to surround himself with other like-minded people And maybe that's Jalen. I don't know who these people are, who he's associated with, but listening to Jalen the other day, it sounded like he wasn't hip with what went down, and think he crossed the line as well.
Yeah.
So you can't do this job by yourself, and so that's what I would say to him. I would love to have a relationship with him, be a support for him, be a valve, safety valve, or outlet valve for him, so that he doesn't injure himself again. I hope that happens. I hope we can have a relationship with, because he's a wonderful guy. He cares an awful lot about the school, about the players, and he's a hell of a coach. To see how they've turned that team around. You talk about Phil. I look at how great a coach Juwan Howard is.
Yeah.
How he's turned that team around. They figure out that defensive schema, and they figured out how to make the two big guys more effective. That high pick and roll.
Yes.
They figured that stuff out. Maybe that was Phil. I don't know. But he was the one I saw calling that play a couple of times when they played, I think it was Iowa, and they beat them.
Yeah. And Howard Isley, one of the assistant coaches, is a quote unquote offensive coordinator in this interim type situation, and I think pretty much for the staff and inside of Washington on the defense. Real quickly before we get away from this incident, Wayman, I want you to reference a high school game I attended at Chrysler Arena your junior year, state championship game, if I'm not mistaken, against Detroit Kettering. You won the game. And there was that was probably the most disturbing kind of riot I can ever remember. Chairs were thrown from Detroit Kettering student section. It was an attack mode against your team. I don't know if it was racial motive. I don't know. I just don't know. But can you just tell me what that experience was like for you?
It was crazy. Kettering was supposed to have beaten us. They had beaten Pontiac Central, Campy Russell's team, number one ranked team in the state, and probably one of the best teams in the country. They beaten us. I don't know how many points. But anyway, that Detroit team was loaded. I mean, you got
Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson was on that team. Yeah.
Cornell Norman. You've got Eric Money, and you've got you've got all these guys.
Lindsay Harris, that's crazy.
And so what happened was we beat them, and the people from Detroit didn't like that, the high school and others. So they came out with chairs, knives, and all kind of stuff.
It was crazy.
Crazy, man. They had to take us off the court. Now, you know what they've done since that time? They've changed, I believe,
daytime.
The daytime to daytime games. They no longer have nighttime high school championship games.
Right, because your senior year, you played in the daytime when you played Pontiac Central.
That's right.
When it flipped it at Jenison. So I know that's that was, but hopefully and this was not comparable to that, because that wasn't a lot. That wasn't a multiple people violent type of situation. I didn't, but I just remember I was wondering what it was like for you, the players, to go through that. And that's why I mentioned. So I want to segue, Rich, let's start with you. And I posed this question to Phil Martelli at the postgame presser about, I said, is this galvanizing moment, where maybe moving forward, because you've mentioned Chris Young, another former player, does a podcast with me. He mentioned it. Some other players texted it, not even connected, saying, I think this is going to be that moment. I mean, do you think this is the moment when something, it kind of shocks them into playing right and playing together? Do you think this is the time now, Rich?
I think that's exactly what's going on right now. You have galvanized these guys the same way we did when we watched Frieder right before the Big Ten championship game on ESPN. Bobby Knight came in from Indiana. They had shoot around. And we got really upset because he put Coach Frieder in a headlock and he gave him a noogie in front of everybody.
Well, he humiliated him. Yeah.
Right, he humiliated him. And then we looked at Coach and was like, Coach, you ain't gonna do nothing about that? Not thinking that Coach is a little guy, so he really can't do anything against a 6'5" Bobby Knight. And when I tell you, it galvanized us.
Really?
Tom, we beat them by 20-something for
the
Big Ten championship.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were upset. Nobody even asked us what happened. You're the first person to ever ask me about something like this. And I was embarrassed for Coach Frieder, man, because you don't let nobody, I don't care who you are. I don't care how famous you are. You don't come to another place, another arena, and embarrass their coach.
Yeah.
The way you did. And if I wish Roy Tarpley was alive. Roy was so heated, he just didn't know what to do. He was sweating. He was so mad.
Yeah.
And so we it'll galvanize these guys. I think these guys, look, Houston played great last night. Have we ever seen Houston play this way?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's been one every 4 games, and for the record, Rich, you won that game by 32.
Okay. See, I didn't even realize.
I remember this ridiculous kind of stuff that's just meaningless, but I do remember that game. But okay, so Wayman, I want you to get your take. I mean, you just because we haven't talked to you specifically about this team beyond the Juwan thing. Where are you at with this team? What do you think they need to get done? What are their strengths and what are their weaknesses that they have to get to become strength in order to make a stretch drive here and qualify for the NCAA tournament when you look at them optically?
I think Richard hit on it, the fact that they've been playing soft, in my opinion, throughout. And it may be because of lack of confidence, not sure. But you saw the tenacity, the confidence that they play with against Iowa, and then you saw it again yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
But now they seem to have gotten a disposition about them that says, like, look, we're going to take you on. We can compete. That's a different attitude. I think that's a result of what happened. I think that they're growing up now.
Yeah.
They're becoming less afraid to challenge, to be challenged. And that's what you need. You don't have to be, a bad guy necessarily. You just have to be, hey, look, I'm gonna protect my spot and I'm gonna play them with you.
That's right.
That's how the attitude you got to have. And I don't think that they've had that attitude. It's nice guy attitude. Well, nice guys sometimes finish last. And
that's right.
What's happening with that team right now. It doesn't mean you got to be mean, but you have to know that they want to beat you and you want to beat them better than they want to beat you. That's the attitude. So I think they've turned the corner. I wish Juwan didn't have to take up for him. It tells me that they are the ones that really we ought to suspend them for not, having the coaches back. At the end of the day, they should never have allowed themselves to get beaten by that many points in the first place. You don't let that happen. The coach don't need to be that pissed off to try to take up for you.
Right. So you're right.
That's the key thing. They have the talent. They have the ability. Okay, let's step in. And I think there's some games going on with the team right now. Looking at the way that the seniors, a couple of the guys, they were freezing Bufkin out, in my opinion. They weren't going to him like they needed to go. The kid's an All-American. You need to let that young man come on.
Well, he's from Grand Rapids. You know all about Kobe Bufkin.
Kobe is a much better asset than what they're utilizing. I was glad to see that Phil, because of the circumstances, and didn't have the other two players on the team, Diabate and Williamson. But now they need to let that young man go, and they need to say, "You need to play."
Yeah, Rich. That's what Johnny Johnson kept throwing it last. Remember the podcast? JJ's going, "I got play the Bufkin kid. Play him, 25 minutes." He went on and on about it.
It lets you know how us Michigan men think, because we have been talking about Bufkin. Johnny came in talking about Bufkin, and now Wayman just talked about Bufkin.
I know.
We all feel the same way because we can see. You forgot. I know Bufkin simply because he played with my son at Tim McCormick's Michigan Elite Camp.
Yeah.
And I met him then. And I thought he was he a lefty, man. I don't know a lefty that can't shoot. I'm going to be honest. Every lefty I know can shoot, and this kid can shoot. He can play.
Yeah, he can play.
Yeah.
They need to play him. They need to play him and ride him until he finally comes out of his shell. When you don't play people, you lose confidence. You got to be in the game to grow your confidence. I mean, look at what's happened to Diabate. He wasn't playing. Now he's been playing. Now look at how he's playing.
Right.
That kid in the game and let him stay in the game, you're going to see something from him.
I want to throw one more question at both of you guys, and God, it's time. We're going to have to do this again because the time is flying, and we haven't even basically scratched the surface of some historical stuff that we're going to talk about. We're going to do this again before the end of the year, Wayman. No matter if you like it or not, we're going to go historic with you. But I want to ask about this observation I had the other night, the fact that Diabate did not play in the game. So there was one big, not two bigs. And I'm thinking, hey, maybe one big and go small around the big might work out just kind of like Purdue does it. What do you think, Rich?
Well, I'm on the path of I really like Diabate in the game.
Yeah.
Because when he's in, he brings you that energy. He brings you that post move that Johns was not bringing you, even though Johns played well at times. Diabate gives you that inside presence because Hunter can play inside out.
Right.
And we know Diabate can shoot, but I love him inside, and I love his Akeem Olajuwon post moves, man. So I'm a big guy. I think I like the lineup with Eli, Jones, Houston, Diabate, and Hunter. I love that lineup.
Okay, you do. Okay, so Wayman, what do you? I mean, Wayman, we can talk about your team going small. We think of Phil Hubbard was your 6'7" center and a bunch of small guys. I mean, where are you at with the lineup?
I look at it and say, play Diabate, play both, because the high post to low post thing works well. So you play both of those guys. You don't want to have the 6'11" guy, 7-footer on the bench. You play him too. So, and he's got the ability, like Richard said, in going both outside, inside. You know, he's got a game. He can play. Just need to work on his shooting skills, outside shot a little bit more. But that'll come with time. And he needs to bulk up some, but he's got that energy. He's got that fight about him. You've got to have him on the floor at all times. And look at what happened to the Iowa game. For me, that was the example for how that team should be playing. If you have both in that game, you're going to see a very dynamic duo is what you'll see. The pick and pop, which was going on too. So I like both of those guys on the floor as often as you can. But when you have a smaller lineup, bring Bumpkin in, bring him in, have him in the fray, because he's got the handles. He hasn't even shown us yet what he's capable of doing. So you got to figure out how to get him on the court too.
Yeah, and he's kind of skinny strong. He's deceivingly how tough he is, even though he's extremely lanky. Wayman Britt, this has been way too much fun. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again before this year is over with, before the basketball, even if we have to cap the season. Right. Richard, I think we bring Wayman back.
I would love to bring Wayman back.
I mean, he can score and also defend as well, as we know. So appreciate
Wayman can pick on my team anytime.
Yeah, there you go. You do all the scoring, let Wayman check the toughest guy, and you just go out and dunk on people. How's that sound?
There you go.
All right, Richard, Rellford, great job. Wayman Britt, again, the name of the show is All Rell Good, Crawford Podcasting Network. Until next time, and how about a Go Blue, guys?
Go Blue, baby. Peace.
Go Blue.